guys? Welcome to Vintage Genetics, where it is all about classic bodybuilding. And today is going to be a leg workout, and we're going to start out with some heavy squats. There is no substitute for heavy squats, so you have to do those if you want to create big legs. I'm wearing special shoes today, a little elevated heel to make sure that I stay upright more, but that's going to ensure that I can go heavy without impacting my lower back too much. So let's get started with the warm-up first. So yes, this is a leg day, and I'm starting out with the back squat, and as you can see, I am wearing lifting shoes. They are by Adidas, or Adidas, however you want to call it, by the way. They're pretty great. I actually purchased them years ago. I haven't been using them a lot at all. I've pretty much been using my regular shoes for squats, but even wearing these lifters, if you look closely, you can see my feet going inwards just a little bit, but it's been reduced a whole lot by wearing these shoes, and it allows me to go deeper while keeping my back more straight. I do think it's very important to warm up on squats or bench press or any exercise that you start out the workout with. When it's a big compound exercise that you will know that you end up heavy with. So as I will be pretty much going to the max weight on these squats, I'm warming up right now. I did 2 warm-ups already. This is pretty much the first set. Still doesn't feel difficult, but it's the first set that you start to feel working the muscles with some weight. And as you can see, I am going a little bit below 90 degrees whenever I can. The lower you go, the more the quads stretch, the more time on the tension, the more muscle fibers are involved. But they actually did a research that it doesn't matter for quad growth how deep you go. So even if you do half reps but go heavier on the squats, you can still develop the quads quite nicely, but not the inner thighs or the glutes or the hamstrings. So that's why I like to go down, because of all the parts of my legs, the quads are the least weak, and the weakest is the hamstrings and the inner thighs. So that's what I'm working on specifically by going down as much as I can. And now we're moving on to the heavier weights. I am wearing a belt already. This belt is available on vintagegenetics.com, by the way, available in all sizes again. But I like wearing a belt when it gets a little heavier, so I'm able to brace my abs and my core muscles against the belt, allowing me to stabilize my upper body to be able to lift more weight safely. That's pretty much the reason that I use it. It's not needed specifically for heavy weights. You don't have to use it at all if you don't want to, but it simply feels like a stabilizing factor in the lift, allowing you to lift heavier weights with more confidence, because you really can feel your core working really hard to keep you straight. And when you brace your core, it kind of sticks outwards, and then you know that you have a very strong abdominal muscle below the rectus abdominis, because the transverse abdominis has the ability to go inwards like the popular vacuum pose, but also the ability to go outwards. So that's really to brace your core to be able to really strengthen the lift by stabilizing your body. And this is going to be the heaviest set. I don't have a spotter here, so I only did 4 reps. As you can see, all the reps keep going quite smoothly up and down. Of course, they are very difficult, but I was able to do a few more reps if I wanted to, but it really felt like too much of a risk. All right, after doing some heavy squats, it's time for the next compound movement, the leg press. We're also going to go heavy here, but a little higher volume, 15 reps, and keep the tension constantly on the legs. So don't lock out the knees, but constant tension at the bottom for maximum results and a good pump. So let's do it.
So again, in the back squats, I will be doing them heavier and heavier. This video was recorded a few weeks ago, and I'm already able to do the 210 kilograms for a few more reps. Without a spotter. But if I get a spotter, of course, it's much easier to go heavier. But I'm usually working out by myself, and I can actually add those spotting arms below, but I still, when you lift a heavy weight like that and the spotting arms aren't really that long, I don't really have the confidence to drop it without anything breaking, or not me, but in the gym, or going wrong. So I don't want to risk that either. But still, bodybuilding isn't about lifting the heaviest possible weight. If you can still do a few reps with a very heavy weight, really feeling the muscle contract the deepest, you're doing a good job. And here, as I said, I am doing a narrow leg press to really target the outer sweep of the quads. Because of the quad mass itself is there, but you need the quad sweep as well. As I'm quite tall, that takes a while to develop, so I always emphasize on the quad sweep, at least during one exercise, you know, at least once a week, once or twice a week. You know, it's not that important, but still, if you do nothing about it, you will never maximize that part of the muscle. And here again, going quite heavy as well. This is a third set. I'm going to do another set after this, but that wasn't recorded. But as you can see, I'm keeping the tension on the leg. You can see the tension on the side of my leg right there. It doesn't leave the leg, and that's very important. You don't want the tension to leave at the end, because it actually causes knee problems over time. So that's usually the cause of that.
All right, after doing 2 heavy compounds, it's time to do another kind of exercise, the dumbbell lunges or the kettlebell lunges. I prefer kettlebells because it's easier to grip, and that really targets the glutes and the hamstrings very well as well. So let's get it done.
So yes, after having done 2 heavy compounds, in my opinion, that is enough for a good leg workout. You could do 3, but if you do an extra hack squat, it's kind of comparable to what you've already been doing. Instead of doing 3 medium to heavy exercises, you can do 2 very heavy exercises and get more out of it, in my opinion. Because I train legs twice a week anyway, and you still want to be able to recover from the amount of volume. So you might up the frequency instead of upping the volume each workout that has been proven to increase muscle hypertrophy. Well, anyway, I'm doing the kettlebell lunges right here. I'm not using dumbbells, as I mentioned. I'm using the kettlebells. They're easier on the grip, so we don't have to focus on gripping anything, because this really feels easy to hold. What I'm also trying to do, if you watch the front leg, I'm really trying to go as deep as 90 degrees, trying to squat with that one leg, basically making it a one-legged squat exercise at the same time. But because it's so dynamic, you also work those little stabilizing muscles and the glutes and the hamstrings, and it just hits all those muscles from different angles compared to those more static exercises like the squat or the leg press. So I really like to do this to you know, tire out and to really crush those quads and rest of the legs even more compared to only doing those stationary exercises. So I always like to enjoy doing dynamic and stationary exercises for legs to even hit muscles that you cannot really hit standing still.
The next exercise will be more of an isolation for, of course, the hamstrings, the weak point of the legs, which needs to be worked. So let's do some Romanian deadlifts right now.
Yes, of course. Since I mentioned that the hamstrings were the weaker point, I am doing the best hamstring exercise there is for building mass with the most amount of weight, in my opinion. You can do the dumbbell Romanian deadlift or the barbell Romanian deadlift, but this actually feels easier on the lower back for me. So I like to do the dumbbell variation more often compared to the barbell variation, especially when I'm not starting with it. The hamstrings are tired from the other exercises already, so I don't have to go super heavy before already maxing out on this exercise, because on the barbell I would need straps. Here I'm not using straps. I am you know, semi-focusing on the holding the dumbbells, of course, but I'm really feeling the stretch in the hamstrings here, and also the contraction in the glutes very much. So what you want to do here is, you don't only want to go down with a bent knee, with a bent leg, but you also want to push your hips backwards at the same time, maximizing the stretch in the hamstrings. And the moment that you come up, you use the hamstrings, but mostly the glutes, to force your hips forward again to come up. So you don't want to use the lower back too much. You want to use the leg muscles to go up and down.
All right, the last exercise of the day will be the seated calf raise. And we're going to do 21s, which means 7 low reps, 7 high reps, and 7 complete reps. And this is really a nice way to volumize an exercise if you only do 1 instead of 2 exercises. So let's start out with set number 1.
So after doing those exercises, it is time for the calf raises. Now, I train calves once a week, not more than that. Sometimes I train legs without training calves at all. but I do think it's important to keep up with them even if they are a strong point. And but it allows me to experiment with different techniques, and all of them work for me personally because I know how to properly contract and stretch the calves. If you look at the calves right now, they're contracting to the maximum. I am doing 21s here, so if you have trouble getting a pump in the calves, I would say that 21s are great. 21s are basically 3 times 7 reps. I do 7 reps at the bottom of the range of the motion, 7 reps at the top, as you can see right here, and then 7 complete reps right here. You can see that I am using all of the calf muscles to perform this exercise. You can see the side of the calf moving, the inside of the calf moving, but I am personally focusing on the outside because the inside for me is more developed, and I want that outside sweep of the calf to be bigger. That can never be big enough. In my opinion, calves, even though they might make the upper leg look a little small in comparison, I simply think calves are just amazing to have. It looks powerful, it feels powerful, so having big calves can never be a wrong thing, just in general, not even bodybuilding related. But if you are standing on the stage, you do need the legs to back up the symmetry and the proportions of the calves with the upper leg, so that is very important. But here I am doing the last few reps of this calf raise.
Okay guys, that was the workout of the day. As you saw, a nice and heavy leg workout, focused on the basics, the old school basics. You can never go wrong with those. Just a heavy squat, heavy leg press, some free weight lunges, some Romanian deadlifts, and then finishing off with the calf raise. As you see, it's not a lot of exercises, but each exercise was done to the maximum with high intensity and enough volume to make sure the legs will grow. And every single time I will try to go heavier with correct form, feeling it in the muscle instead of the lower back, because right now the legs are pumped and the lower back feels nothing at all, which is exactly what I'm going for. Anyway guys, I want to thank you a lot for watching, and don't forget to stay golden.